I was in Germany on a kind of holiday with a few friends, and on the way there I suddenly collapsed on the train. Had a fairly major sort of unconscious inducing seizure. So they confirmed or found that I had quite a large tumour inside my brain. It took a while to process. Saw my GP, saw the brain specialists at Plymouth. I was given the option of either having the tumour removed through brain surgery or leaving it, because at this point they thought it was stage 2 benign cancer. I opted to have it removed because I didn't want this in my brain, and it seemed sensible to confirm the diagnosis by actually having it removed and tested. The surgery went well in terms of removing the tumour, but unfortunately did induce paralysis in my right leg, which I always knew could have happened. I was awake for pretty much the entire procedure. They put you to sleep very lightly at the start, and then I was kind of brought awake at the point where they started removing the tumour. Weirdly fine, actually. There was no pain. You had the sort of psychologist in front of you who was very good and would talk to you and ask you questions and keep you calm. And then, yeah, I was awake when they bolted me back together. I think on the 6th or 7th day of being in Derriford, I was transferred to the Plym ward at Mount Gould for some proper targeted neuro physio rehab.
When I first met Josh, he demonstrated quite a lot of weakness in the right side of his body, mostly in his right leg, particularly around his ankle and knee. He required 2 people to transfer, so to get from A to B from a bed, perhaps into the wheelchair, and he would fatigue quite quickly.
Right from the start, the physios and OTs sort of set goals with you and say, right, where do you want to get to? What is it you want to achieve, both short term and long term? And then they try and facilitate those things happening. So for me, it was, don't just want to walk, I want to get back to running, to hiking, to the kind of higher level physical activities I did before. So you feel like you've got some control over what you want to do so that you can input into your goals, not just be told, this is what you're doing. It was very much, this is what we think, but what do you want to do and how can we modify that to suit you, which was great.
He's gone from standing to stepping, from stepping to walking, and from walking to running. So he is now practicing running.
Oh, that was amazing. The first, I would say, stumbled jog rather than run, but just to feel my heart actually beating quickly for the first time in a while was, yeah, really good.
He's so engaged, so motivated, and he genuinely takes on board absolutely every bit of advice that he's been given. So if you could have a perfect patient, if they exist, he's probably up there. I
didn't even remotely envisage being running within 5 weeks' time. So yeah, just a massive thank you both to the physios and the OTs, and then also to all the care staff and nurses who just made me feel so welcome. Unfortunately, on that day I was discharged, I got some quite bad news in terms of my diagnosis, which was that what they'd thought was a stage 2 benign cancer was actually stage 3, quite aggressive cancer. So that wasn't great, obviously. But the Plym ward, they kind of knew straight away, and they were really helpful. They gave me sort of a call with the psychologist on the ward, which was really helpful. It's very comforting to know that with the psychologists and the OTs, you know, even if I'm not there in hospital, I've still got those contacts and people that I know I can reach out to if needed. I'm starting a 6.5-week course of quite intense radiotherapy, and then I'll start a year of tablet-based chemotherapy. It's been a roller coaster, that's for sure. Thankfully, I'm quite stoic in how I think generally, so it's not been, I wouldn't say I've been overwhelmed, mostly. But yeah, it has been a lot of, I guess, readjusting and rethinking of what my life was going to look like. Not necessarily in a bad way, just in a different way. I'm going to sign up for a marathon at some point soon, probably for after the chemotherapy, because that would be sensible. But yeah, I definitely want to make sure I can keep doing all the physical things I did before, and maybe even more so, just to prove that I can.